Separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory, and now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory?
But that can't happen overnight, because the people who aren't getting the food or the medicine, they're the ones who are going to suffer. You don't see why people find this incredibly cruel?
You said earlier that we're treating it as if it's an overweight person, putting them on a crash diet. Oh no. The federal government is essentially somebody who's 800 pounds, and you cannot survive like this. So yes, there are some drastic measures that have to be taken, and I will add this to you. If you think it's bad now, if we get into a real debt crisis, it will be significantly worse for the American people and other people that we might help around the globe. The best thing to do right now, get in quick. You're going to have to shut some things down, triage the area, rebuild the stuff that is good, that we all can agree with. The other stuff that's hyper-political or makes no sense or fraudulent.
What about the Department of Education? Now, I don't know that much about it, but I've never read good things. Rahm Emanuel, who I agree with almost everything, here was a quote. He said, 1/3 of 8th graders can't read, and now he wants to close the department?
Let's dive in. Bill Maher is making waves again, and this time, he's got everyone buzzing. Whether you love him or hate him, his latest take is bound to get a reaction, maybe even raise your blood pressure. The outspoken comedian and HBO host has shocked fans by doing something no one expected. Defending Donald Trump.
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you are not responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? An $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for. But I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. To me, that's fucking...
You heard that right. The same guy he's been roasting for years. Hard to believe, right? But Maher isn't holding back. He's calling out both sides, delivering his signature sharp takes without skipping a beat.
Communists, that human was no longer selfish. In America today, that human is no longer born male or female. And obesity is not something that affects health. You can be healthy at any size. Really, we voted on it. A formerly serious magazine last year published with a straight face an article called Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense. Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory, and now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory?
Bill Maher, yes, the same guy who spent years tearing into Trump, is now flipping the script. Can you believe it? He's not just throwing punches at the usual targets. He's taking shots at both sides, making waves in the already heated political scene. His latest commentary on hot-button topics like education, immigration, and gender in sports has left audiences completely split. Some are cheering him on, while others, let's just say they're seeing red. Before we dive into the details, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, I'll wait. Done? Welcome aboard. Now, let's break it all down. Maher's no holds barred. Opinions lately. Maher has been going all in on some of the biggest issues facing the country. And trust me, he's not sugarcoating a thing. From calling out the failures in education to taking aim at California's immigration policies, his unfiltered takes are sparking serious debates. Education. Maher says the system is failing for years. Education has been treated as this untouchable institution. But Maher, he's not buying it. He's pointing straight at the numbers and saying, something isn't adding up. And he's got a point. Recent reports show that nearly 1/3 of 8th graders can't even read at grade level. So Maher's asking the big question, where's all the money going? Billions are pumped into the system every year, yet the results seem to be getting worse. According to him, the Department of Education feels more like a black hole for taxpayer dollars than a real solution. Immigration, a controversial take on California's policies, and then there's immigration, where things really heat up. California. Lawmakers have made a bold move, extending government assistance to undocumented immigrants, not just for basic needs, but to help them buy homes.
California lawmakers just passed a law giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not?
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states.
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is for the undocumented.
California's big move. Maher has questions. Whoa. Didn't see that coming, right? Look, California has a reputation for setting trends, but Maher is raising an eyebrow and asking, wait a minute, is this really where the Democratic Party used to stand on immigration? For years, immigration was a bipartisan issue. But now, the lines seem to be shifting. Sure, everyone supports the idea of extending the American dream, but Maher's wondering, shouldn't it be, for Americans? He's not against helping people, but he's cutting through the noise and asking the big questions. Are we redefining the rules too much? Are policies meant to uplift citizens now stretching beyond their original intent? It's the kind of debate that makes people uncomfortable. But Maher? He's diving right in. The gender debate in sports. Maher's take. And then there's another topic that's got everyone talking. Gender in sports. Remember when Trump signed an executive order banning boys from competing in girls' sports? That move had people either cheering or fuming, with very little in between. So where does Maher stand? Well, instead of taking a hard side, he's doing what he does best, cutting through the noise with humor and sharp criticism.
An executive order saying that boys can no longer play in girls' sports. That's it. That's it. Ladies, isn't it ironic that the biggest protector of women turned out to be the pussy grabber? Huh? Maybe the guy who grabs it knows how to protect it the best. Think about that?
Calls out the irony. Maher isn't just stirring the pot. He's pointing out the contradictions. He finds it almost comical that Trump is suddenly being seen as a protector of women, despite his long history of scandals. The irony? It's impossible to ignore, more than just comedy. Maher makes you think. But here's what sets Maher apart. It's not just about outrage. It's not just about laughs. He's challenging people to actually